Now to a story in the Mirror, who say this morning that the battle for Kai Havertz is intensifying, with a player open to hearing what Manchester United have to say, although Chelsea apparently further down the line in terms of progressing a deal for the Bayer Leverkusen attacking midfielder. Keith, I'm going to put you in his shoes. Young boy from, well, Dublin in your case, world at your feet. I mean, there's potentially Real Madrid and Bayern interested as well, as I'm sure they were in you, but you've got the options. Manchester United, Chelsea. Looking at the two clubs at the moment, what are you thinking?
I think it's a tough one. I really do. I think when you look at what's gone on at Chelsea in the last 12 months with the transfer ban and the rebuilding job, the patience that Frank Lampard has had to have, I think now what we're seeing with the type of players that look like they're going there, exciting type of project. I think when you look at Manchester United, the size, the enormity of the club and maybe the personnel that he's starting to get in line, I think he's guaranteed to start at Manchester United. I really do, because I think he's a magnificent player, a magnificent young talent. The geographical issue was always there when it comes to players coming to England. Some of them do favour living in London. I think it's a very, very tough call for him. But what I would say is, when we're talking about some of these young players from the Bundesliga potentially coming to the Premier League, I've watched Kai Havertz on numerous occasions, and he is one of the most intelligent players I've seen of that age. Technically gifted, vision, elegance, the way he plays. So he will grace the Premier League, along with the likes of Jadon Sancho, as we probably know a little bit more about, and obviously Timo Werner, the other one getting heavily linked. But he will be a really, really exciting addition to the Premier League if that does happen.
Don, it does look like Havertz is going to go somewhere. What have you seen of him? How much do you like him?
Yeah, well, I've looked at his stats as well, and for one so young, he's played an awful lot of football. I echo Keith's sentiments, really. I think the London factor with players coming in from abroad has, over the years, and probably continues to be a massive pull. There's one other thing that I'll throw into the mix. If Timo Werner goes to Chelsea, that may be another little part of the whole thing that would tilt his decision, really. Having a German compatriot there, somebody fresh, somebody that he knows. So, look, I think he's so talented, he's got choices. And all of his choices, to me, appear to be really, really strong and really, really good choices. But he is a player that I like, scores plenty of goals. He's got the experience now. I think we all acknowledge that the Bundesliga in general terms is probably, of the foreign leagues, is probably the closest one that we get to the Premier League in terms of its intensity, etc. So I wouldn't envisage him having any problems settling into life in the Premier League. And I think whoever does get him is going to be lucky to have him.
Also, Keith, you've got a Chelsea lineup potentially, if it all falls into place. Werner, Havertz, Hakim Ziyech is obviously already there. Ben Chilwell being heavily linked. If they were to get all of those, are you looking at Chelsea being suddenly at Liverpool, Man City level? Are they title contenders?
Yeah, I think when you look at maybe the options that he has, where he's going to go, if you're focusing on Chelsea, and of course some of this is hearsay at the moment, we don't know exactly what way it's going to pan out, and I'm sure these are the conversations, if he does get in front of him or have these type of calls with him to try and persuade him to come to Chelsea, Frank Lampard that is, then these are the type of conversations he's going to be having and trying to get him there, trying to shout. But there's got to be an element of trust on his part. If they get that type of personnel that you've just been speaking about, that is a very, very exciting team that you're going to look at. I think we've seen shades of it this season, the exciting style that he's trying to go forward with Chelsea, with the young players, and they will kick on from the experience they've had this year. The likes of Tammy Abraham, they still need a little bit of help up front. You've spoke about Timo Werner. He, of course, is versatile, can play from the left, which I prefer him in, if I'm being entirely honest, but also can play up front if Frank wants to play a three at the back, potentially, which he's also done this season. So will it propel him to that level? I still think there's probably a little bit to go, but I certainly think it gives them a really, really good chance of being cemented in the top four.
I think it looks to me as well, Pat. Sorry, Pat. It looks to me, just keeping with that point, in terms of Chelsea, do they have an advantage now financially because they haven't spent money in the last couple of transfer windows and they had that pot waiting to be spent? We've heard rumours about Liverpool not meeting Timo Werner's buyout clause because things are going to change financially in football in terms of transfer fees and wages. So at this moment in history, I just wonder whether Chelsea have that little edge in attracting these players and certainly meeting the transfer fees and the wage demands of players at this moment in time. There's no doubt about the project that is there. It's a long-term project. I think when we looked at Chelsea at the start of this season, we were looking at Frank Lampard as a rookie manager in the Premier League, having cut his teeth in the Championship. But there were still questions to be answered. And I think he's more than answered the questions in terms of where Chelsea are now. Of course, everybody's way behind Liverpool and Manchester City. But you have to say it's been a really strong first campaign. You can clearly see that Roman Abramovich has trust in Frank Lampard and the longer-term project, and is going to back him. So, I can only see Chelsea improving over the next few seasons. Whether they can finally reach Liverpool and Manchester City's level remains to be seen.